Hey everybody, how ya doing? Happy Thursday. We're almost made it to the end of the week, folks. It's the lunch stream. .net. It's pretty cool. I do think it's a pretty cool platform. It runs on everything: Linux, Mac, Windows, IoT. We're playing around with it, doing unusual things with it. Oh, I'm getting audio bleed. Let me make sure I get rid of that audio bleed real quick here. Welcome YouTube, welcome Twitch, welcome to the stream live. For those of you that are watching Video Demand, thanks for watching Video Demand. You can obviously post questions to me on the product formerly known as Twitter, X or whatever you want to call it, at BiasOwl. 1 second, gotta sneeze. That was a close one, almost had a sneeze. Somehow convinced myself not to do it though. All right here, folks. We have been working on a CRM package for .NET using building a Mac application. What? Yeah, we're building a Mac application using AppKit using .NET. Now, we started this project because I wanted to pour one out to our friends at Visual Studio. Visual Studio for Mac, a great product. I used it for years. It's right here. I've built some pretty amazing things with this. It's really helped me along my career. Before it was Visual Studio for Mac, it was called MonoDevelop. And then after MonoDevelop, it was renamed Xamarin Studio. Xamarin was the people that built this, and Microsoft bought Xamarin, and they turned it to Visual Studio for the Mac. They decided to discontinue this product, and with it will be a bunch of features that are really cool, that are really hard to replicate. But our friends at Ryder have got our backs, and they have all the functionality that Visual Studio for the Mac, for the most part, has. A little bit different to use, and so that's what this stream's all about. It's showing us Ryder and showing us how we could do an AppKit app, a Mac AppKit app in C# using storyboard files. That's also very odd. So we're talking about the most oddest thing you could possibly ever build, which is a Mac desktop application with a storybook file, which is also not very popular, using C#. Why? Because we can. All right, folks. So let's go through a review where we are right now. We've got our main controller kind of set up here. And we've got the ability when you log in to get this really cool thing with the toolbar with the icons on it. I found out that in Catalyst, which is what most modern Mac, like your notes application, are actually just iPad apps. Oh, 1 second here. Sorry, my wife just asked me a question that was really important that I have to answer. That was rude for me to put you guys on pause. I'm also going to take my stuff and put it on Do Not Disturb so I don't get alerted like that again. All right, back to here. I found that Catalyst apps or iPad apps that you can make run on the Mac, they don't have the words here on the toolbar. That's pretty interesting. For example, the Notes app. I don't think there's any notes in here. That'd be dangerous for... well, there it kind of is. Let me make sure it's on a note that you... that's also a bad note. Let's go with that. So if I were to bring up the Notes app here real quick here, just as notes running on my Mac, and I were to go to here, View, and Customize Toolbar, what happened to my Notes app? It crashed! That's pretty funny. This is an Apple app. Whoa. What? Hey, don't feel so bad if your app crashes. Apples do too. Hey, let's go through here. Customize toolbar. And it crashes again. Okay, well, I guess I'm not meant to customize toolbar notes. It was working last night. I may have to reboot. I don't know. But anyways, what I found was that they don't have the option for text. They only have the option for icon or none at all. I thought that was kind of odd that in AppKit you could do that, but in Swift UI, I don't know if that option's changed. But we have a main and a detail. And what happens is when we click on any one of these buttons, we want it to switch out the content. And so that's what we've been working on the last couple of days. And we can see here that this all looks pretty cool and kind of works. Let me see if I can get the To-Do app up. Reminders, I think it's called Reminders. Yeah, Reminders. A lot of times, if I'm trying to build an app, I want to take influence from other apps. Well, turd, this doesn't have it. It's the Notes app that I want up. And of course, the Notes app keeps crashing. But this also has a sidebar you can see here. When you click on certain things, it changes the view over here. Oh no, wait, actually it does. Let's see here. But how did I get it? Oh, right here. Yeah, so this is a pop-up that you can get in, I think it's the Notes app that gives a really nice pop-up for the user profile. And I was like, you know what, that's exactly what I need to do in this CRM package for the My Profile in the corner. Let's go bring back the Notes app up and see if I can make that happen. And now I don't see it anymore. Huh. Okay, what's that? Look at the work one. Let's just look at Notes here. Let's look at the fireplace notes. Yeah, that's weird. So you get these drop down lists, but I literally had it where one of these apps, I had like the profile right here and it popped out and it was a really cool profile. I was like, oh, that's exactly what I want. Is it because it's shared? Ah, right here it is, the shared one. This is what I want. This is my wife, Dana. And you can see here when I click this little profile picture, you can see here, it gives me this little pop-up that you can do all kinds of cool stuff with. That's pretty neat. I'd probably like to do that in AppKit. That seems like it's cool. So some ideas are coming from the built-in Apple apps on what we could do with this thing. Let's go ahead and stop this and see where we left off. Let's go ahead and try to run this thing and see what happens. So I've told you I kind of got it. I've got a really big monitor, like really big, like, you know, it's like 49 inches. And the stream only works in this little tiny part. But my apps, I have them coded to always open up in the middle of the screen because I think that's nice. And so I have to drag them over to the part of the screen I'm streaming when that happens. So we're gonna go ahead and click the little Mac face here. I got a little code that kind of goes in and logs in with a user, a test user. So I have to type that in over and over again. You can see here, when I click companies, contacts, and campaigns, we get these little messages that tells us that we clicked on a thing. And so that means that we know that our messages are going across from the toolbar all the way over to main view and to detail view also, so that they know that something's happened and that they should react to this. Now, eventually we want to get some list of companies. And so if we click companies, what do we want to have happen? Well, we want this over here to have a list of companies. If you click contacts, it'd be a list of contacts, and then campaigns would be a list of campaigns, right? And then if you clicked on those companies, it'd give you like all the information about the company over here. We'll probably have a tab at the top. They'll give you all kinds of cool things you could do, like the office locations, and then you'd also get like, you know, the contacts for that company, the campaigns for that company. And you can go to campaigns directly here also, right? Two ways to get to the same thing a lot of times. But also, you may want to also have like events and other things, notes, crazy things like that you may want to have on your customer, right? And we're not going to go all crazy on this. We're just trying to build a sample app. So, but if we think about the next thing you need to do, that main view, we need to get something in it that we could show some companies with. Now, there's a bunch of different ways we could do this, right? And that's always interesting. Let's bring our Xcode back up here and see what the easiest way to do this is. So I've researched this quite a bit. And if you're new to Mac development, there's several different things we could do to make this work. In iOS, if you're on the iPhone, which most people that are doing Mac development are also iOS developers, you would already know that the answer usually is there's something called a UI collection view. There's also something called a UI table view, okay? And both of those exist inside of macOS. Now there's also a couple other. There's something called an outline and also something called a tree. Okay, now a tree view is exactly what it would describe. It's kind of like a tree, and you can have branches of it, and you can open and close those trees. Well, for companies, I really don't kind of need that, or even really want it, to tell you the truth. That's adding there's a lot of complicity into a relatively simple UI I want to build. Now, table view works different in Mac than it does on iOS. In iOS, you get a cell, and the cell can have whatever you want inside of it. It's a custom view, right? In table view in Mac, you can have columns and rows. I really don't want columns and rows because that's the sidebar or the main view, right? The sidebar view. It's pretty small. You know, even if I made it like 300 pixels, still you ain't gonna get a multiple row. Well, I guess maybe you could get 2 rows in there, but I don't think it'd look nice. And I'm not really convinced that's the UI I'm looking for. I think what I want to have is more like a mail message view, where you basically have the company name, maybe the city and state it's in, and then the country. So 3 lines: company name, city, state, and country, right? And so, and for many of those, there may not even be a state. Like if this is like Greece, for example, there just may be the city and and then Greece is the country, right? So countries in the US will do city state, and then if we don't see a state, then we'll just basically do or province. Some like in Canada, they're called provinces, not states, right? We also want to make this work globally. So we'll have to do some trickery there, but that's all, I think, easy things that we can handle here. And we'll just check if the data's not vault. No, we just won't show it, right? I mean, there's easy ways to do this. All right, so if we want that, and we want those as just being 3 labels, one above each other, we would need a custom view for that. I don't think a table view is worth the expense of it. Table views can be expensive. Outline view could work for this. However, outline view, once again, is designed for more of a bulleted kind of, it's kind of like tree view also in some ways. I'm not convinced I need that either. And the default view for it, it's like an icon and stuff. I don't know if I really want that either. So when we look at this, we can just bring the little plus sign up here, and we can just say outline, for example. And there's our outline view. And it says this is a coordinate with the delegate and a data source. And it's an expandable rows of views organized into columns. I don't want columns. And so source list has the same problem. It's a items list set in the container of adjacent details area. It's kind of what I want, but not really either. And I don't want a grid. So when I look at this, I don't think I want that. So if we go look at, let's just go at Google and say AppKit source list example. And so let's see here. See if we can find. They're saying, is this it? This is outline view. This is a decent tutorial on it, but you can see it has columns. I don't want columns. That's the problem. I don't really want columns in this at all. I want one single row. I want this kind of look like an iPhone app in some sense, right? Where I just have that there. That's what people are used to seeing now. There's nothing wrong with that. So I don't think that that's working for me. Source list, nope. Oh wait, maybe. Let's see what the source list looks like. They're saying here. Ah, okay. Let's see here. Yeah, so they do the same thing here, where it's like it's a icon and then a name. I don't want the icon. I want 3 lines inside of here. So this is giving us a good idea of what's going on here. You can see here that they've got it's a lot of code, way too much code, if you ask me, to build this source list. And then it looks like you have the same kind of challenges, I think. I think that's cool, but I don't need the sections, and I don't need the icons, and all these are single row. I think I want a collection view. Let's try a collection view. I mean, that's what the stream's about, is trying unusual things, right? Let's throw a collection view over there, see what happens. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but maybe I'm right. Let's go back to Xcode then and try this out. And so let's go back over here and take a look. We're going to bring Xcode up. And so normally you do this in a controller, but we could do it without a controller and just use this data source and the delegate to render it. So our source view right here, we just have this word that says main view. Let's go ahead and delete that label. See, we got a label here. What we're going to do is we're going to make a collection view. There's a collection view. Put it in there. Hey, look at that. We got a clip view, and then we should have a collection view inside that. There's our collection view. Item size and height. Width, we probably want to make 200. And height, 50, maybe 100 to start out with. We want the scroll direction to be flow, and we want it to be vertical. We want it to go up and down. That seems like it's cool. Okay. Oh, we need to make a pointer to it. So this is in our main view controller. So in here, we need to make another, pop this up, go into here, find our main view controller. Our header for our main view controller is right here. And now we can make some pointers to some things. Boy. Let's get rid of this view here and this view here so we have some screen real estate that we can use to try to find this stuff. Oh. There we are. There's our collection view. We want to make an outlet to this, so we're going to drag this over here. It's our outlet. We'll say collection view, call view main. Seems like it's good to me. Connection. There we go. We got a link to our collection view. Now we can edit that in our main view controller. We need to do some other stuff, but that's going to take some work outside of Xcode. So let's go ahead and close Xcode. Come back here. Let's go look at our main view controller and make sure our main view controller has our outlet to it. There's our collection view. Okay. We should be able to run this and we won't see any difference whatsoever outside the label being disappeared. Because the fact that the collection view doesn't have any items in it and it doesn't know how to use itself. So it should just come up with nothing, nothingness. And let's see here. Yep. That's what I kind of expected. You'll see here, can't really do anything. The collection view is kind of just doesn't have anything to do. So it won't do anything. So that's cool. Oh, by the way, I also changed the app name. You can see here to the .NET CRM. And I also changed it so that when you go to About, it should also say .NET CRM with our app icon. And I haven't fixed this yet in the metadata, but I'll fix that later. So I also did a little bit of cleanup there. And help, you can see here, it says help about CRM. I haven't implemented any of that stuff yet. We'll do probably most of that on stream, but kind of stuff I've cleaned up a little bit. All right, so what do we need to do next? Well, interesting enough, we have, we need some data sources. We need some, so these are our view controllers, right? Cancel. Don't change things. I just want to close these. All right, what we need to do is have we want to make a collection view item. So we need to make one of these. And so I don't know the answer to, so that's not going to be the right answer. So we need to make new, but let's see if I select Zib. So that's not going to tell me what I want either. Can I just go new here? So this is where VS for Mac does it better. Let's close this out real quickly and let me show you some things that VS for Mac has templates for this. And this is going to be like some of the differences that I just don't, I think that maybe, you know, I need to put some requests into the writer people, and I don't even know if they're going to do them. They're going to be like, you know, how many people are actually doing this too? You know, hey, TB Gamer, how you doing today? I'm doing great. I'm doing swell. We're still playing around with the C# application. That's a Mac application. About to start complaining about some things that Rider doesn't have that VS for Mac does. And we're pouring one out to VS for Mac because Microsoft end-of-lifed it, and that's the whole reason this stream started. I wanted to show all the crazy things that VS for Mac could do. So I had Rider open. I closed it for a little bit because one of the things it doesn't do is when I go to add, and I can say new file, and here I get this template. And it's super awesome. And I can go to macOS and look at all the options I get. It's like, hey, that's cool. Hey, you know, here's a controller, a storyboard, a view here. I can go to miscellaneous. It gives me a bunch of these templates. And that's pretty neat. You can see in Avalonian, I've got the plugin for that installed. So you can see all the things I can do in Avalonian, .NET Core, and then ASP.NET Core. Not a lot there. But the thing is, it has these cool things I could do here. If I go back over to Rider now and I close this out, of course, Apple gives you the best solution to this. And if you're really serious about building a Mac app, and you should try to learn Swift and just do it in Swift. But we're showing .NET off here, and it is an option, right? So you can see here when I go to add, I don't have half those templates. In fact, I have the zip file, which is what I need. So I'm going to call this main. We'll call this company collection. So company collection view item. So maybe we should just spell it out. We're not getting paid per character. We don't care. So that's our company collection view item. It's a zip file. What the heck is a zip file? It's like a storyboard file, but only one thing could be inside of it. We need to open this up in Xcode, and we can see here, this is the current view that it has. It's just some kind of custom view, right? We need to get rid of that. We don't even want this custom view. What we want is a collection view item. And this is the only thing we want inside of here. So where's our collection view item? Well, where did it go? Where did it go? Uh-oh. I dragged one out. Okay. That's weird. Usually you'd see one of these. You'd see like the outline for it and stuff. I don't even see that. Oh, I put in objects. Maybe that's what the problem is. Nope. That just made a new window. That was a mistake of mine. Let's undo. Okay, so there's our custom view. Do you have to have the custom view to put the collection item into? Yeah, it just drags out the objects, which is not what I want. So I guess I have to drag it into custom view. Can I put my collection view item into here? Can I change my collection view? My custom view here. And as collection view item. What are the options? Collection view. Why can't I make this a collection view item? I can tell you how I used to do this. I used to just drag out a collection view item. Well, there's a table view cell. There's a collection view, but why can't I drag out a collection view item? Manages a single view in a collection. That's exactly what I want here. I want that. But then I don't see it, and it just becomes an object. That seems weird to me. Now, if I go to custom view and I just say, I don't want this to be a custom view, I want this to be a... I know another way to do this. All right, let's close this out. Let's revert to changes. And what we're going to do is make a new class. We're going to call it collection view. We'll call this company collection view item. We'll say okay. Yeah, I don't want that either though, because now I think about it, it's not going to inherit right. They use the storyboard item. I can't make it here. Well, let's see if I can. And we'll say this is inherits from NS collection view item. So let's just do that. We're gonna save that, and then we're gonna open our zip file in the storyboard. We're gonna see if we can set it to that and see if this works. So we're gonna say right here, this custom view. We're gonna say, hey, what we want to make you is a company collection view item. And then we're gonna make the identifier this. And then by theory, that's my class. And then what I should be able to do is a label. Let's drop, well, let's bring out a stack view. A vertical stack view. Put it inside of here. We'll bind it up here with our constraint. We'll say, sure. Add the constraints. And then now that we have a stack view, let's add some labels. We'll add 3 labels. And we'll make 2 more. So they have a wrapping label. And I think what we want is we want to make the first label wrapping. And then we want to make the second 2 non-wrapping. Because the company name I've found in my experience building these kind of things before is that could be an issue. So let's see here. Update frames. What's that about now? Update frames. There we go. All right. We go back out. We got our three things. So this will be company. We'll call this we'll say company name. We'll say this is city, state. And then we'll say this is country. Country. So a couple things we want to do here for company name. We're gonna so see the we should be able to set the font. We don't want it to be system regular. We're gonna say this is gonna be large title. And then we're gonna say this too is going to be instead of regular, we're gonna say this is sub headline. Nope, that's subline. I don't like that. Caption 1. That's even smaller. Sub headline. We tried that. Let's try headline. There we go. And this will also be headline. Although I don't like the font being bold on that. Can I change the font? I wonder if I could say title 2. I do like title 2 better. Let's do title 2 and title 3. See if this works. Okay, that's... Maybe they need to both be title 2. Okay, they both are title 2. Okay. That looks okay to me. That kind of looks cool. All right. And let's see here. What's it mad about now? I think it just wants to redraw the frames. So here, yeah, update frames. Okay. There we go. That seems pretty cool. Probably also want to put some padding on this. Let's take a look here. We wanted to do distribution, fill. Let's put some spacing in. Let's put 16 pixels of, ooh, too much. 10. Okay, maybe that's too much. Let's go back to 8. What was 8 looking like? 3 cramps it up. We will have a lot of companies though. Let's make it 4, make it nice and even number. Alignment, we'll have, we could do centered. I don't think that's gonna look like, that doesn't look professional at all. So what we'd have to do is we have to do some padding on our constraints. So on our constraints here, we have leading and trailing. So what we wanna do is, in iOS, it's 16 pixels of padding on the left and right. And I think I wanna do the same thing here. And let's do that. And we're gonna update our frame. It's gonna be mad because it's say, hey, update your frame. And that's a pretty good cell. I think that's exactly what we're looking for here. So let's go through and make sure we have the identifier right. So this is important to know this identifier because this identifier is how we're gonna do cell reuse. Let's go ahead and save this. Oh crap. Well, we'll save it. What I wanted to see is whether or not the collection view would update its code. And it did not. Let's do this. Open this back up in Xcode. Let's make some outlets for it and see if the outlets work. So we have this thing in controls called. Well, that's, look at that. It doesn't even see the class. That's a bad thing. So see, it doesn't see our class. Shoot. That's a problem. It didn't, yeah, it didn't remember our class name here. And that's even more interesting. Oh, wait, no, it did. Okay, so here it is. Company collection view. Huh. But if I go look at it, I don't see the class for that. Let's see if it makes a class for us. A And I don't see the class being made. Oh boy. This is going to be a problem. I promise you that. So let's see here. So let's go back to making it the same thing that we said it was. But I'm not seeing the class to drag the outlets out for. So that's the issue at hand here. So I go into controls. Is this a namespace bug maybe? So let's do this. Let's take this out of the controls and just put it in the root. Yeah, let's move the file to the root, and then let's move this class out to the root. Yep. And now if we open in Xcode, let's see if we see the class. I think what I have to do is I have to make the couple ways to try to fix this. So Ryder's done us no favors here, right? So this is definitely an issue where Ryder didn't make the class for me. So I tried to make it, but it's not showing up here in our C# generated code. Let's close Xcode back out. So a couple things we could try to do here. We could try to do this in VS for Mac, but VS for Mac is not going to be around forever. But in VS for Mac, what I could do, let's see, here it is. First of all, let's just go to new in VS for Mac, add a new file. Can I tell it I want MacOS in a view? Let's say that we want this to be company. All right, let's do this. Let's delete this. It's not working out. Let's rename this to 1. Now let's do this. Let's go to add new file. In macOS, we're going to call this a view. We're going to say this is a company collection view item. Not found. Oh, geez, boy. This went bad for us, real bad. Let's close VS for Mac and open it back up. This is definitely a bug. There we go. All right, so what did we get? We got a collection view item from a view. We got no designer file for it, though. And we got a zip for it. So the question though is this linked to the zip file? In the sense I could say this. Let's just try this and see what happens. And so then what I do need though is I need the designer file. So I might have to make that by hand because VS for Mac didn't make that either. So let's add a new class and we'll say this needs to be called company collection view item dot designer dot cs. And then what we'd have to do is we want to look at the pattern for this, right? And so what ends up happening is that when you have a designer, you have to call it a partial class. And you would register in there. So we would say here, close this out. We'd say here. And then we want to register the name of the class, which they're doing here instead. So this is, we take this out. We put this in our partial. And if we do the word class right. All right, that should get us our designer file. That should get us our main file. Why is it man here? Oh, I have to tell it to also be a partial. That makes sense. Okay, So if I were to close VS for Mac out now and open it back up, by theory, the designer file should be hooked up, and it's not. These two should be like telling that they're the same files and they should be underneath each other, but they're not. That's usually a bad sign. That usually means something didn't go right and it doesn't know. I might be able to fix this in the proj file. Let's go in through and edit that real quick. Let's see if we can find out if that's what's going on here. So see here, let's go here to see what we've got going on. Yeah, so see this dependencies right here, that's what's going on here. See, we have compile condition, enable idles true, update, designer depends on main, this file here. So that's what's going on. We don't have that in our new file that we created. So that's gonna be the problem we have. So we're gonna have to go through it and make that this up because it didn't do it for us. Otherwise this won't work. So what we need to do is make sure that we don't see collection view item in here anywhere. So we need to make a new compile condition here. You can see here, so this is a compile condition and it ends with this right here. So what we're gonna do is just make a new line in here. We're gonna say this seems like it's cool. Then we're gonna say this is not Windows controllers. It's just called, actually let's move this where we want this. This is a control, so let's move these 3 items to controls. We're doing some brain surgery here. Reload the file. Let's see here. So it's saying controls, that's great here. So now we go through here and we've got, what happened here? Tweet that zip file defined. Not sure just yet. Let's see if we can fix one thing at a time here. Okay, so authentication controller. Right here is our compile authentication controller. We need to borrow this. We're gonna kind of cut and paste it here. We're gonna say instead this is controls / and we want this to be the company collection view item dot designer, and this would actually depend upon this file. Let's save that. Close these out. And there we go. See this? Now that you can see these depend on each other, so that's important. So that's how that works. Behind the scenes, it's just a CS Proj magic thing. Now, how do I know this? Well, for years I was a tech lead, leading a bunch of mobile and other types of developers at a big company. And so I did a lot of .NET back then, and I know behind the scenes how the CS Proj file works. So I kind of have some inside baseball knowledge on how to make this work. So by theory, that should have fixed that first problem I have, right? Now the second thing is I want, well, first let's see if the zip file, which we should also move into here to tell you the truth. So it's with the class file itself. Let's go through and try to open this with Xcode and see whether or not it gives me my collection view item, and if it tells me it's the right type of thing. It does. And so now my only problem is my identifier is wrong, and that will tell me how to find in a storyboard file, or a zip file, excuse me. This is not a storyboard. Let's save that. And what's going to happen wrong probably is our constructor is going to be wrong. You can't have an empty constructor on this. And this is where I think our friends at our AI are going to help us here. So I already asked a little bit of questions about this. What I need to know is the item. It doesn't give me the zib syntax for a new item. But then again, it did create it with me. I think we're going to run into problems where the constructor's not going to work right, but let's see how far we can carry on with this and see if we can get this thing working or not. What's going on here? Okay. Let's see here. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code, or Visual Studio for Mac. And let's see if we can get the designer file to update. I'm concerned about this constructor signature. I think that that's wrong because you have to pass it the zip file to tell it how to, well, I take that back. If there's only one zip file, as long as it's registered, there's only one, well, there could be more than one UI file in a zip file, technically speaking. So one of these is wrong. Let's close Visual Studio for Mac again and reopen it. I've noticed that now it's shown the zip file twice and it shouldn't. I always get concerned with these bugs in Visual Studio for Mac because I don't want it to break my application. I'm not just sure if that's because of the fact that it's in the CS project file twice by accident. And that's usually what would happen if it's there. So if we go here, this is just a bug because now it only shows up once. If it showed up twice, I'd have a concern and we would have to probably talk about, like, you know, we have to go look at the CS proj file and see what's going on here. So let's open this up with Interface Builder again now. And we'll have to do the same work we did with the other zip file. Now, my other goal is, can I just pass this out? So first, let's see if we see our, in our classes, whether or not we see this. So we see the collection view item. This is the most important thing we need to see because this is how we can make outlets. So registering it, right here. Oop. Close that out. Go into the designer. No, I don't. Why is it opening? There we go. This register is what's making it so that Xcode can see it. So by theory, all right, so if this all magic works, right, here's the theory. This zip file doesn't have the UI I want in it. The other one does. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to take this zip file, move it up here. Rename it to 1. Take the 1 out of it. This has a UI I want in it. Okay. These all have the same file name. I'm going to close Visual Studio. Save and close. Open up Rider. And if we go here, we can see here they are now. Here's our two files, right? We're going to open this up in Xcode. Xcode should see the registration. Uh-oh. That's not good. Yeah, why is Xcode not seeing it now? Let's go back to Visual Studio for Mac and see if it sees it. What's going wrong here? Wait, what? No, I don't want that. I want to open this with Xcode Interface Builder. What the hell is Xcode default test? What? And I still see both zip files. Shoot. Which one is this? This is the wrong file. I have a feeling I screwed this up. Let's edit our project file. See what's going on here. See, this doesn't exist anymore. So I deleted it. This does exist. Yeah, see, look at this. There should be no zip files in this. 1 second. Okay, we've got some problems where Xcode's not, or Visual Studio for Mac's not doing things right. Look at here. It's saying to remove these, but no, they shouldn't even be on the file disk anymore. Let's take rid of this item group and go find these and delete these. That's what's going on. It's getting confused. So this has got to be bugs inside of the IDE, right? I mean, it's not perfect. And then what's probably happening is these files are still on disk. So let's go ahead and save that. So now we're gonna have to go to the Finder on this. So let's see, there should be an open in Finder in here, show Finder. And let's go look at our folder to see whether or not we still see these are zip files. So I can see a storyboard file here. Let's go into Windows controllers, make sure I see no zip files there. View controllers, let's go here. I don't see any view controllers zip files there. Models, there's none in there. Let's go to controls, we should see one. There's our company, that's good. Okay, I think we're fixed. I think Visual Studio for Mac had some definitions around there. So let's see now if we go open this back up Writer, if our solution file is going to work better for us. So we should be able to do now, just say open this in Xcode. And the project file should be fixed so it doesn't get broke. Okay, there we are. Cool. So it's our CS project file that was broke. And I have a feeling VS for Mac is doing that. There's been several bugs over the years with it editing CS project files. Jacob, if you're ever watching this, you know what I'm talking about here. I assume MS are canceling VS for Mac because it looks like Writer is better. Yes, it is. Well, Writer, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a mess, to tell you the truth. Boy, I don't know how much I could talk about it and not talk about it. I have an NDA with Microsoft because I was part of the insider group for VS for Mac, so I got some inside baseball knowledge. And I don't even know if it's a good idea even to talk about it, to tell you the truth. What I can say is this. I don't think that this is anything to hide or anything that is not public knowledge. The people that worked on VS for Mac worked their butts off. They really did. They were trying to do a lot of really cool things, and they had to completely convert the code from GDK Sharp over to Cocoa, and they did that like in a year. I mean, it's impressive for the small team they have to take that IDE and bring it over to all native controls versus controls that run on both Linux and Mac. And that was a lot of the glitches just had to do with GTK Sharp and how that was being maintenance and stuff, right? So they made the whole UI now is native, which is pretty cool. Now, that's a big change in technology stack. And for a small team to do that, of course, they're going to have some defects, and they have quite a few. And at some point in time, I think what ended up happening was the user count just wasn't there. You know, they're looking at going, well, the amount of users that's using this versus how much money we're spending on it, we're not getting a return on investment on it. And they looked at VS Code saying, well, we can write plugins easier for VS Code than this. And at some point, though, I think it's just a money thing. They looked at it and said, well, the amount of money we're spending on this isn't worth it. And that sucks, compared especially to Rider, which, honestly, Rider has a really great advantage because it's written in Java, and it's just written on any platform, and they have every language support in it. I mean, they built a platform for building IDEs, where Microsoft's platform for building IDEs is highly tied to Windows. VS for Windows will never run on Mac because there's so much crap in it that's Windows specific only. And they've kind of painted themselves into a garden, or into a corner, because the fact that they have a great IDE, Visual Studio for Windows for the most part, but it only runs on Windows. And I'm not going to run Windows. I don't like Windows. I don't run Windows unless I have to. I'm a Mac user. But I also use IntelliJ's other IDEs like Android Studio I use, and that's built by them. I use WebStorm, I use Rider, I use IntelliJ or IDEA. I think IntelliJ is the product name, but IDEA is the Java version of it. I use all those all the time for building Flutter and Android, all those other apps. So for me, Rider was a pretty good system, and it's got a pretty good plugin system. They got a lot of stuff, and ReSharper comes for free inside of Rider, where ReSharper is a plugin you have to pay for instead of Visual Studio, and that's their refactoring tool that gives you a lot of insights of what's going on in your code, and a lot of people like that, including myself, a lot. So I think that they had that team had a lot of things against it because of the fact that they didn't have a plugin system for it. To reuse the Windows code was really a lot of problems, trying to decouple that Windows code for the Visual Studio for Windows. That's my guess. And that just made it really hard to maintenance. I do know the people, this is all speculation. I did not learn that from NDAs or anything like that. But that's my guess. What I can tell you that I know is that the people that worked on it worked their butts off. They were really cool people. And they have some really, really smart people worked on it that now are working on other projects at Microsoft. I consider them heroes for what they did, because they really were in tune to the customer base. They were trying their best to do the best thing possible for the product, and they tried. And that's all you can ask a development team to do. They just, I believe, weren't given enough resources. You know, if you don't have enough resources and you don't have a good story that you're trying to tell, it's really hard to get users to use your product. So we got 3 labels here. Why aren't they showing connected though? You should show connected. Why are we not? These act like they're not connected, these outlets. They should have circle filled in. Try this one more time. Wasn't paying attention, I was talking. Label company. That seems weird. It seems like they should be filled in. Label, city, state. That's spelled wrong. That's gonna burn me. Let's shoot. These are all gonna burn me. Let's go into this and take a look at its outlets and delete these outlets. You have to delete them from here. You can't just delete them from code because you see how it still has them. That's in the XML file. And so if you do this wrong and you don't delete the outlet from here, the XML file reference, which is the zip file, it's going to screw up all your code. So you can't just delete the code and think that the outlet's done. And this is true if you're doing Swift. Label, no problem. Company. Let's try this again. See what happens. See, that's weird to me. Normal how the outlets work is that they'd have that circle would be filled. City, state. I do have some doubts about this working for some reason now. Label, country. Let's see what happens there. This is what I do want. Let's go ahead and close this out. Close this out. Let's take a look at. Well, we're in the zip. We don't want to screw up the universe. The file watcher should be only watching the zip right now. So I don't want to watch do something else, change to something else, because we told it to only open up the zip file. And my fear is that if the file watcher is only watching in the zip file, it's only generate code for that. And if I try to open something else, it probably will go bad. Yeah, I do want to add the file to Git. Thank you. So let's see here. All right, so it made the outlets. Okay, well, hey, you know what? Look at here. We've got our outlets, AppKit, and its text field. That seems like it's cool. This didn't crash yet. I think it's gonna crash here. I don't have a lot of faith in this constructor being empty. I really don't. Let's run this thing and just see if it crashes or not. By theory, I'm not calling the collection view item yet. I haven't registered it in the collection views, so it shouldn't bomb. But I've sometimes seen it where the minute that you start doing this, the compiler just freaks out. Okay, so far we're not bombing out the application. So I mean, we've made some progress here. All right. Let's see here. So, where do we want to go next? We want to test this, right? We want to see if we can get our collection view to show something inside of it. And our collection view is inside of our main view controller. So this should have a pointer. So this is what I was talking about here. This is the pointer that tells it how to grab a file of something out of the XML definition. My fear is that this is missing. And that's... but I don't think it's the same syntax because it's, this is for storyboard file because there could be multiple and a zip file is totally different, which is what we need to grab from here. So let's go look and see what our friends in AI have to say on this topic. Oop, I'm also running out of time. Well, we might have to punt here. Let's see if we can get at least what it says to do. Let's see what it says to do to set up the collection view. We don't need a data source yet. Here's my controller. They say do it in view did load. They say make the data source. I don't think it's that easy because they don't register the cell here. I happen to have a lot of inside baseball knowledge because I've done this before. So here, they're just refactoring out, but they don't register it. Yeah, see right here, register the class. If you're doing this for everything program, you need to register your custom subclass using the register class for item method on the collection view. I did set the item identifier, and that should be a make view, right? We talked about that earlier, that this is going to make it so that we can find it. But we need to first get the zip file for it, because otherwise it's not going to know where to get the item from. It won't know what file to read it from. So I think there's some stuff missing in this. Yep, right here it says design the cell. We did that. Bind the data to the cell. We're not going to do that just yet. Designing the cell. Let's yep, I did that. And so yeah, and then they say you had to make a data signing. This is the data source. Sure, that makes sense to me so far, but this is also technically speaking a little bit wrong, because once again, you have to register the cell outside of the data source. You have to tell the collection view where to get the zip file to get the definition of the XML from, and so they're skipping that here. How do I tell the collection view? How do I tell the collection view? How do I tell AppKit which zip file the what do we call this thing? So if you have a conversation with your AI, it's like a real conversation. You could literally give it example names of things it's given you, and it will continue the conversation on. How do I tell AppKit which zip file the UI is inside? How do I tell AppKit which zip file the company collection view is in? Because you have to tell it to load this. This is what I was looking for. This is exactly what you need. Yes, and so this is absolutely what's missing. And so in their code, I had to ask it for that. Now that's an interesting thing, right? Because it gave me a bunch of examples, but it literally did not give me the example of like, hey, how do I register the zip file? And so this is an important part of what we have to do here. We have to register that, otherwise we won't know where to find it. Now, once again, I've done this before. That's why I know this. I know how to ask their questions. But this is where the AI, I asked it for the first example, and it didn't give me the right answer. So then, since I knew the answer, I could kind of poke it a little bit to say, hey, look, I know that this doesn't look right. You know, what are you? You're missing some stuff. How do I fix what I'm missing? So in here, if we do have to override view did load, override view will view did up. I think they had it in view did load. Lifecycle is also extremely important in this. If you do it in the wrong spot, it's going to go bad for you. View did load. All right, so we got it right here. This is just all part of understanding it and using this. So what we're going to want to do is say here, and we're going to say it's not called that. It's called this dot call view main. That's the name of it. Collection view main. So now we can say we want collection view item. And that should load in with the identifier. And the identifier is really important. This identifier is what we set in the zip file. So let's make sure we're pretty clear on this. Let's go ahead and open this up in Xcode and just double check to make sure that we're doing it right. When we look at the view here, okay, and if we look at the properties of it, what we have to do is look here at the identifier. This must match what's here. If this identifier field doesn't match, it ain't going to be able to find it in the XML file. That's how this works. And so I've had it where, and this is a magic string, right? So if you type it in wrong here and it doesn't match here, you're gonna get all kinds of weird errors, but it won't make sense. Most of the time, it's the identifier's wrong. Right here, this identifier. That's the important part of this. If you're learning this and you want to use storyboard files, you just have to know that. So that should get us started with our collection viewed. We're going to register that to say, hey, look, when you make collection view items, this is how you do it. Now, my lunch stream is running short here because I've been going and it's 1 o'clock. I started at about 12:05. I only got about an hour today to run. Let's see here. What else can we do in our time here? I probably should check all this code in and make sure that we don't lose it. Let's just run one more time to make sure we work. This shouldn't change anything because I don't have a data source yet. So even though we registered that zip file, it shouldn't really do anything because until you have a data source, it doesn't know how to bring up that zip file. It's just going to register it in memory to say, oh, okay, if I am getting an item, this will be in my list of things I can go look for that item. So it's going to register this class, okay? It's going to say, hey, I know about this right here, this particular thing. And now if I use that make method to go say, make me a cell of this type of class with this identifier, it should take the XML, it should read it out and serialize it into that class, and it then should give me one of those items in memory. That's what it's doing. And so that's all the intricate parts of this. So I think we've got most of the stuff fixed today. I apologize for the bugs inside of VS for Code or VS for Mac that was causing us to have to manually build some stuff that took a good portion of the stream. But hey, you know what? That's why we're doing the unusual things with .NET to kind of learn and say, where are the issues with this and can we work around those? Because it is unusual. My guess, if somebody asked me how many people are doing this, how many people are using .NET to build Mac applications? Probably not a lot. Probably not a lot. But it's an option. It's pretty cool, and I like it. So we're going to continue doing that. We'll see this application through to get at least a couple of screens of data up and stuff like that. We're not going to build the full CRM system. I don't got time for that. If we want to do other unusual things with .NET, not just build Mac apps, there's so many things we could talk about here. That, I don't want to spend 3 months building this when really we just want to do a proof of concept, get up and running with a couple of screens, and then move on to the next thing that we could probably show off. So, all right, folks, with that, I think we're going to end the stream today, the lunch stream. I want to appreciate everybody for showing up for the lunch stream with .NET. Today, we kind of went through and we hit some bottlenecks of both IDEs, Rider and Visual Studio for Mac, having some bugs in them and how they deal with adding zip files and classes into the CS proj file. So we had to go through and modify our CS proj file by hand to kind of get everything linked up. We had to do some ninja coding to kind of get the designer file to match up with our class file, but in the end we got everything working and these things are all together. So I'm going to check this code in and come back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow during lunch. We'll try to get the collection view to actually show these items that we have, so that should be a lot of fun. So stick around tomorrow. If you're watching video on demand, it should be the next stream in the list if you're on YouTube. So I appreciate your time. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to one another. Help your fellow developers out. And I'll see you on the next stream.